for those tuning in after the fact, don't worry, we'll get underway shortly. So yeah, I've only just got this a couple of hours ago. I decided to download the whole world, so that was 90 gig, I think 80 or 90. And I've set up my controls for the 7.3, which you see here. And that's it. I've not flown it yet. The only thing I did was check that the database was updated. And yeah, so do forgive any bugs and whatnot, any issues. I haven't had any chance to test it. We're doing that together. And so what you see here is the state of this as it currently is, assuming you've set up your joystick, and that's it. I got a whole bunch of aircraft for xPlane, none of them yet ported over. This is the Zebo mod, which is currently available in early access for xPlane 12. So we're going to test that. And you know, as that time ticks on down, hiya Bob, nice to see you. And unfortunately, why is this not appearing? Sorry, we're going to have chat appearing. Do stand by one while I resolve this situation. I'll tell you what. Let's bring us into the game. And there you can see this is all default scenery. Everything here is default. And we're on the ground here at Frankfurt Airport in Germany. And I just dialed the clock back by about an hour because it was nighttime. By the time I'd finished setting everything up, it was nighttime. And yeah, Bob, if so, if we just it's not the greatest start to the stream in the world, is it? It's live. Ah, there's the chat window. Okay, pop that one out. Try and resize it somewhat. Copy the link. Paste. Okay. There we go. Back to the game. And to Dad. There we go. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you. Right, hopefully with that little to do out the way, let's get on with it. So again, this is the very first time that I'm playing this. I've just set up my controls. What you see is what I see. And this is all default scenery. I've got the settings maxed out on the graphics, so if we do experience any lag, remember A, it's maxed out, and B, we're still early access. And I do find it incredible they've got the whole world in at this sort of detail in about 80 to 90. Let's say in less than 100 gig, they've got the whole world in. I've always thought that was incredible. Granted, it's not as detailed as DCS or Microsoft Flight Sim, but you got to hand it to them. Look at these airports. I'll tell you what, that sunlighting. We'll have a little play around with the time when we're on the way. And this is the aircraft that will be flying. The 7-3, the Zebo one, which is, as far as aircraft that I go, the only one that is currently xPlane 12 capable, apart from the default aircraft that the game comes with. But let's face it, they're not great, are they? Although the A330 model looks brilliant, but in terms of realism, it's not great. All right, so let's get started. Hiya, Jonathan. So let's connect up the ground power unit. And let's see what we can make happen. I do got flight plans. We're here at Frankfurt. We're going to be going down to Innsbruck, the famous approach down there, in between the valley. And so coming up top, let's put the battery on, connect the ground power, emergency lights on. We'll get the logo, position lights, and wheel well lights on. Now let's just have a little look how that looks, because again, all of this new to me. Actually not seeing any lighting on the aircraft at all. Unless I'm missing something. Maybe it takes a little moment or two to boot up. I'll tell you what, we'll have another look at that in a minute. Let's have a look at some of the internal lighting then. That's pretty much as I remember this one. Tell you what, that they've done something with, you know, like DCS when they changed the clouds. I feel that's what's happened in xPlane. They've changed the clouds. The way that the lighting works with the sun is just... it makes it look 10 times better, even though the ground scenery is still the same. All right, we'll come upstairs and we'll get the INS system aligning. Or the IRS. Always get them middled up. Everybody's got their own acronym for the same damn thing. So that says 8 minutes. Let's come down here and set this up. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Beautiful. Do you know, when I was young, and I say young, a kid, you know, before I was like 18, you could come visit Flight Deck in flight. You'd come in here at 30,000 feet, 35, whatever it was. And that's what you saw. And you heard that, you know, with the wind over the shield. The two guys sat there, and this is no word of a lie, right? One time, the captain goes to the toilet, because, of course, this was pre-2001 days. There was no bother. And I said to the first officer who sits on the right, can I sit in his chair? And he says, yeah. And so I sat in here at 30-odd thousand feet. Let me tell you, as a kid, that was something else. That was exciting. And they used to let you sit in for landing. Yeah. All right, let's crack on. So let's have a little look then at the flight plans. So this is the little side tablet here. And if we come over to the chart page, I've already planned this, so we're going to ignore the times, because you can see we should have set off at 18:45. And the time is currently it's currently 2 hours later than that in real world. Ignore the time here. I've just wound the time back in the sim so that we've got a bit of a sunset to fly along with. And so we're going to crack this 23,000 feet. That's not a tutorial by any stretch. Again, it's the first time doing this for me in this sim, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, the sounds are pretty good, and we'll hopefully get some more of that once we're on the way. And so let's start programming in here. Pausing it. Reference, we're at Echo Delta Delta Fox, which is Frankfurt in Germany, and I can't remember what stand we're at. Actually, we might be able to cheat a little bit. Come outside and maybe we can find some evidence of a stand somewhere. And there we go. Look at that. Victor 115. Let's see if we can pop that in here then. Victor 115. Well, it's accepted it, so that's good. GPSs both agree, so that's great. So we'll copy that over and use that as our IRS position. Okay, and the route is going to be Frankfurt to Innsbruck, which is Lowy. Lima Oscar Whiskey India. Okay. Flight, just going to make one up. We're flying as KLM because guess what? I like blue, so that's all that there is to that little mystery. 4452. And with regards to the runway, it's all going to hang off the weather. And let's find out then. So EDDF for Frankfurt. We'll have a look at some of the charts here. I'll set this over to night. So we're there. There's the layout. Used to be just these two runways back in the day. Then they added this north-south one, number 3. And then this is the newest one up here. All right, so the 80s Freak is 118.73. Let's see if we hear anything. Again, first time trying this, so if it don't work, it don't work. But let's find out together. 118.73, we'll activate that. Nothing there. What about 25? Sometimes they're half a dot out. All right, there's nothing on that frequency, unfortunately. I wonder if we got the data link working in this. They used to have a data link in it. We can find out the weather that way if it's working. So we'll try it. Data link, airline operators, requests, weather, Echo Delta Delta Fox. Send that off and perhaps they'll let us know the weather through the data link. That was nice and quick. Message. Oh, there is none. Great. Great. I wonder if the weather is not quite working then, because we got no ATIS, no data link. So I'm going to go off my chart here, and they always give you the weather. Granted, this is from a couple of hours ago, but it should be close enough for our purposes. So here we go. Departure Frankfurt. Winds are 210 at 6 knot, visibility 10 miles or greater, showers and rain, few clouds at 1,700 feet, potentially some towering cumulus, temperature 17, dew point 15, QNH 1014. So that's going to give us everything that we need for takeoff. So let's go with that there, QNH 1014. Winds 210 at 6, and so I assume we'll be taken off in a westerly direction. And where are we? Page 2. And there we go. Yeah, okay, so it's runway 25 center we're expecting for departure. So let's put that in here, 25 center. Okay. And then page 2. The route is going to be via the Cindy 2 Fox departure to Cindy. Why not Barbie? I don't know, but it's Cindy. Let's push that out. There's Cindy. From Cindy, we'll be jumping onto the Zulu 74 airway. And that takes us to Lampu. L-A-M, clear, M-U. Then we're crossing onto the Zulu 54. And that takes us onto Nombo. Tell you what, so far, other than the weather, ATIS info not going right, seems to be okay. That takes us onto the Yankee 161 airway. And that takes us to Manal. M-A-N-A-L. Oh, did I mistype that? M-A-N-A-L. There we go. And then onto the Mike 736, and then we're there. Mike 736 to Tulsi. Tulsi. Okay. We'll activate that. Accept. We'll swing the range out a little bit. So we're here. Legs. And down there's Tulsi. Alright, so we're on the Cindy 2 Fox departure, so let's have a look at that then. Departing from Frankfurt, we already established it's 25 center. There's the Cindy 2 Fox SID. We'll zoom in a little bit. We'll take a look a little in a minute what that actually means. And let's look at getting some passengers and cargo on. So we've got 173 passengers at 0.5, so that's 500 pounds of cargo. And we need a total payload, sorry, 34.2. Fuel is 12.2, that's in £1,000. So that's like a full F-18 with 1 center tank worth of fuel for this flight. So let's see if we can remember. I'm just going to go 34.2 for the payload, 12.2 for fuel, just to try and make this a bit quicker. So payload, what is it, 34.2. Okay, and fuel was 12.2.
Ground flight deck hose disconnected and starting refueling.
Thank you very much. That sounded like a very British refueling guy for Frankfurt. But you know what? As long as we're getting it, we'll take it. If we take a little look here at the fuel tanks, we can see they are indeed being topped up. All right. Anything else up here? Smoking signs on. This top panel's a bit dim. Let's brighten that up. All right. Okay. Thanks a lot. That was quick. What we got here? Looks like IRS system left and right are both aligned, so that's great. I like to put that into wind mode so we've got some idea of what the wind's doing. All right, so the Cindy 2 Fox, let's have a little look then at that. So we're talking departures. Here's the Cindy's looking for the 2 Fox. And there we go, Cindy 2 Fox. So we're here, so it looks like straight after departure, once we're 4.5 miles away from Frankfurt or 800 feet or greater, whichever is the later, we turn left and then max speed to 10 until established on the 116 here to Amtix and then Cindy. Okay, fairly straightforward. Thankfully, we don't really got to remember any of that because we're going to see it here. Come over to the legs. Steps. So there's the 800 or above. Then we've got the turn. Zoom in a little bit more and step through that. There's the speed restriction of 210. We need to be 5,000 or above by this point here. And there we see Amtix and Cindy. So that's relatively straightforward. All right, we'll come to the init page. And I think we can just cheat by clicking on that for the gross weight. Plan on fuel, and then we'll look at getting underway. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and start up, seeing as we're aligned. We'll get the signs on. And we'll start up the APU. Hold the start switch down for a couple of seconds. In terms of charts, what we're looking then. Yeah, I've got a big DCS video in the work at the minute. After having a bunch of hardware issues and whatever else, I basically lost my old computer entirely. I was able to keep the graphics card and a couple of solid state drives out of it, and that was it. So it was an expensive to do, and it set me back by about 3 months, and it cost me a ton of work, but I've nearly finished a big video. Don't want to spoil it, but stay tuned for that. And what were we... Oh yeah, the cruise info and whatnot. So let's have a look, page 1. So we're going to be cruising... Where is it now? Oh, we're not on page 1, that's why. Right, there we go. So yeah, 23,000 feet. Which is flight level 230. We're expected to use 4.7... So £4,700 for a 737 from Frankfurt to Munich. I'm not sure that you could get the F-18 doing that same flight for less, you know. Although I've never tried, but based on how it guzzles in DCS. Cost index 14, so that's a pretty chilled out one. I might crank that up once we're up there. We've got the final reserve with the alternate in at 5.7. Will it be interesting video? It will be an interesting video and informative, and it's taken me days to do. It's taken me days to do because it involved a lot of testing. But it's gonna be yeah, it's gonna be interesting and surprising as well. I was blown away by what I found. ISO deviation then, which is 2 degrees positive, which makes sense. We're in the summer. And with that, takeoff will derate to 24, full power for climb. Takeoff 5 degrees CG, trim of 4.75. That's basically the default. And these gives us the speeds 131, rotating on 132. If we lose an engine, we climb out on 142. We'll put the legs page on your side. We'll dial in 142 here. All right, APU is booted up. Let's put that on bus. Put all the fuel pumps on. APU bleed on. Duct pressure comes up. We'll turn the packs on. Sounds good. Oh yeah, land out. We should do that. We'll clear out the MC. So it's always to the nearest 50. So I'm going to put 350 in. There we go, in case we need to return. And we'll get the window heat. Whoa, what just happened there? Was that the lighting that changed? What's happened to all my... What's happened to all my lighting? Like... Everything is still powered, but the lighting suddenly went. What about flood? Yeah, none of the... What's happened to my lighting? What about dome light? Alright, well, we'll carry on. We can see the instruments. That's the main thing. I wonder if that's to do with the sun... or if it was a minor bug, I don't know. But we've still got power. What about that? Yeah, none of these are working now, but never mind. We'll press on. It's a little bit dim now, actually, but I'm sure we can make a work of it. And so we just need the runway heading. 25, which is going to be 247. You can see why it takes pilots, you know, 30-45 minutes to turn a plane around with all this setup that they've got to do every time. Granted, I'm a little bit out of practice and I'm trying to describe what I'm doing. So initial climb, I believe, was 5,000. Let's just verify. Yeah, initial climb clearance is 5,000 feet. Runway heading is in. We've got the V2 speed there. I'll put in the ILS on my side in case we have to come for a quick return. And the ILS is going to be for the departing runway, which is also 25 center. And there we go, ILS 25 center. 247 degrees, which makes sense, same as the runway, and ILS freak is 111.55. 111.55. I'll pop that in on my side, your side, and you can have where's this Frankfurt one? Frankfurt here, 14.2, that's the VOR. 14.2, bang that in, okay. Alright, make up a transponder code, which is going to be the flight number 4452, and with that, let's engine start. Now they don't have the better pushback yet, so we can't have the cool pushback. Let's get rid of that external power, we don't need it anymore, we're on our own. Ground services, get rid of the stairs, close the door, get rid of the ground power pack, remove the chocks, cabin lighting for takeoff. Let's welcome everybody on board.
Fox, this is Captain speaking. We're just final preparation here for departure from the gate. Maintenance is wrapping up one final item that they needed to take care of.
Plane maintenance, that's right.
Right on schedule today. Should be just a few more minutes. Maintenance will wrap up and hand us our logbook, and we'll be on our way. Thanks for your patience.
Okay. All right, let's go then. I hope I haven't forgot anything. Yeah, so rather than pushing back and starting that way, I'm gonna start up here. Hope that there's not a collision object on these things, and we'll try and pull out. Just shifting. Do you know what? A 70s reverse pushback, Bob. That's a great idea. Let's go for that. So parking brake is on. Let's go ahead and put the anti-collision lights on. We're still not seeing any external lighting, which is a little bit disappointing. Although there does seem to be something on the tail, but I can't tell if that's just a reflection. Oh no, I tell a lie. We got a little bit of a beacon thing going on down there, but it's very it's very pathetic, isn't it, that? I think they need to tweak that a little bit. All right then. Oh, someone shut my door. So let's turn the packs off. Turn these on, the hydraulic pumps. All the signs are on. Let's start engine number 2, and I'll shut up and let you enjoy the sound.
And we are at departure time. At this time, we need large electronic devices, laptop computers, to be turned off and stowed. Smaller electronic handheld devices may be used, however, they must be switched into airplane.
And I've got to put the fuel in, so unfortunately I've got to come up there. Let's watch the rest of it on the display here. Fuel going in, engine number 2. Oh, that sounds good, doesn't it? And there we go. We hear the starter clicking off. Let's start engine number 1. Fuel in.
In just a few moments, we'd like you to direct your attention to the video screens located throughout the cabin for an important safety demonstration.
All right. Sod the important safety demonstration. Alright, flaps 1, 2, 5. I'm not going to put the RTO on yet because we're going to do this 1970s pushback. Engines on the bus. Packs back on. Isolation valve automatic. APU bleed off. Unfortunately, I'm just going off memory here where these switches are because this is so dark. Put the trim air on. Probe heats on. Yaw damper on. with that, we can turn the APU off. And I think what I might do is wind the time into daytime, because this is not really usable, is it? It's a little bit too dark. Let me just adjust the time a little bit. We'll play with it back and forth a little bit. So let's just bring it forward about 3 or 4 hours. Oh, and the cockpit lighting's fixed. Never mind. Let's leave it daytime now. So the engines are up and running. Let's come down here and turn the altitude on so ATC knows that we're alive. Parking brake off. Let's put the turn-offs and the taxi on. We'll leave the wing lights for now. All right, let's see if we can do a 1970s pushback. Reversers. And let's pull them back. Here's where I figure out I'm still on the chocks or something daft. Oh no, I'm not on chocks. Oh, it's struggling a bit. This is full power. You know what? I'm wondering the problem may be. Let me just see what my pedals are doing. I'm wondering if I haven't set. Forgive this again. This is the first time I've been running this, and I'm not sure I've set my. Oh no, they are set. Right and left. No, they should be working. I'll tell you what. We're going to leave that one right there. Doesn't seem to be either. It's not enough. Whoa, look at that. We jerk forward. All right, let's go forward. My original plan. Let's see if we can do this. Tell you what, we might actually make that turn. That's a turning circle and a half, isn't it? Look at the reflections on it, and holy moly. I think the problem was we were trying to reverse uphill by the look of it, and it just didn't have the oomph. Now, I'll tell you what, I've obviously, my graphics settings are turned up, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on with these taxiway lines. For those that didn't know, you steer these airliners with this little thing here. It's called a tiller. You don't actually use the rudder pedals. All right, so we can set this stuff up now. So RTO set, flight directors, my side, your side. British Airways, American Airlines, Emirates. Bye, they've got them all there. The fruit stand, they call it, right? When you've got all mix of them. Alright, so if shit goes wrong on takeoff before 140, no, hang on, what's the V1 speed? It's 131, so before 131 we'll stop on the runway. After 131 we'll go. If we lose an engine, we'll climb out 142, 5,000 feet on runway heading. Actually, look at this, we're already here. I can't explain it. Even though some of these textures are looking dated, There's something, the way that they've done the light, that just looks better. By the way, this is real world weather, even though the time's like 4 or 5 hours off at this time. All right, let's crack on with it then. So we'll arm the auto throttle. We've got LNAV, VNAV armed. It's going to be our lateral and vertical. We'll put all the forward facing landing lights on. Strobe lights on. Engines on continuous relight. Wing lights on. As we come down here, turn the transponder on. TARA.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
Put the weather radar on my side. And let's see if it works. Terrain on your side. We'll push the range out. Be surprised if that's in yet. But you never know. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is exciting for me. First takeoff here at Frankfurt. Runway 25 center. Can't wait till they get all the other aircraft in and the add-ons properly. Got a little bit, look at that. We've got a little bit of a return on the weather radar there. There's little green little bits. All right, let's wind them up. We'll start the clock. And 3, 2, 1, toga. Holy shit, look at that, man. Wow. By the way, I've no clue when I'm supposed to rotate, but it feels like about now, so I'm going to go for it. Look at that wing flex, man. Oh, I was too soon. There we go. Wow. All right, let's recover whatever kind of mess we made of that. Actually, nothing too bad. Got that left turn coming up now. Yeah, so if you want to fly it, for those that sort of never really do the airline stuff, just DCS, right? It literally is a case of you take off 400 feet, wheels up, autopilot on, and autopilot stays on until you're 1,000 feet off the ground from the other end of the flight. Now, some obviously want to carry on flying for a bit longer, but that is the procedure. You're off 400 feet, autopilot on, and that's it. Providing nothing goes wrong in that flight. But I'm going to hand fly it for a little bit.
1,000 to go.
I'll put the autopilot on just for a sec, actually. Let's keep winding this on. Let's go straight up to 12. And I'm just going to put in a level change so we don't go any restrictions here. Let's pick up the pace to 250. I know it said 210, but you know what? We're trying to get from A to B. No one's going to be too upset. How's everybody in chat doing? I don't know. I'd love to find out. I know it's not DCS, but you know what? This game is in early access. I've been looking forward to it. And now we can start and see some of the problems. So look at this here. Again, it's first time flying it. I'm going to point it out as I see it. Again, all the settings are on full. The bottom of the clouds are somehow interfering with some of the tops, the volumetric stuff. Again, it is very early access, so it's not a final product. All right, so wheels off. Let's come upstairs. We'll get rid of the retractable lights there. Runway turn-offs and taxi light. Engine start switches to off. Logo can come off. And wheel well lights off. Smoking signs auto. Look at that. Got a nice wind here. Let's push this range out now. Look at these crazy weather lines here. I don't know if you can see that on stream, like these weird little... This is the weather radar doing that. No idea what that's all about. I wonder if that's sort of where one weather system joins on with another. Alright, let's push that out to about 300 knots. And we'll carry on climbing to 23 was our topper climb. And now that we're above 10, we'll get rid of the landing lights. I just find it incredible. I know the detail isn't like DCS, but when you think the whole world is in it at this sort of detail level and that exists on your hard drive inside 80 gig, I think that is incredible. You got all the main roads in, all the little bodies of water. I don't know how many trees are down there, but a lot. It's very... Do you know what? You have this very big tribalism in Flight Sim, I've noticed in forums, in comment sections, and you've basically got DCS, you've got xPlane, and you've got Flight Sim 2020, all right? Now, I know there's that prepared 3D kind of a game as well. I say game, it's what FSX used to be. Lockheed Martin took it on. And I got them all. I got them all, and I like each one for its individual thing. I don't have prepared stalled anymore because it was just far too dated. But each one of those 3 sims is good in their own right for their own thing, and I play them all. I play them all. And where one isn't so good in one area, it's better in another area. And, you know, if you want to shoot weapons, DCS is where it's at. And DCS is actually a real good all-round sim. I know there's a lot of heated discussion about how the missiles work and so on, but yeah. The way, I don't know how to explain it. The way, honestly, that wasn't a pun. How they've got the light looking right, like the bright and I don't know how. There was a huge long stream that the developers did talking about how they got the lighting right. And it was to do with, well, your monitor can't go as bright as the sun, so we had to create a list of all the possible values from the brightest to the darkest, and they did a whole long discussion on how they did the brightness. But whatever it is that they've done, it looks good. This camera mode that I'm currently in is one that I wish they added to DCS. Oh, was that through a cloud, or is that... Oh, it must have been. This is a weird kind of a camera that basically sticks to the plane doing what it was doing at the time. It's like an F2. If you imagine a cross between an F2 camera and an F3 in DCS, where it's basically like an F2 camera, but if you change the speed of the plane, it then stops being F2 and it gradually changes into an F3, or if you change the height. But if you kept flying in a straight line without changing anything, it would seem like it was F2, and that's how you get these real nice sweeping shots that... This is your flyby, your F3. You get a good sense of the speed of the thing in that view. All right, well, let's start having a little play then while we're en route. Let's turn the seatbelt signs off. As we're approaching cruise height of 23,000, we'll get rid of the wing lights as well. So see, we've got about an 18 knot tailwind. Ground speed 431.
1,000 to go.
And there was that Cindy waypoint on our 6. That was the where the departure spat us out on. If we dial up the range a little bit, there's already the last waypoint, Tulsi. Let's have a little look before I get carried away and then get caught when my pants down when it comes with regards to our approach. In fact, let's clear Frankfurt out. We don't need that anymore. We'll be arriving at Innsbruck, which is code Lowy, Lima Oscar Whiskey, India. And if we look at the charts on page 2, I believe. Yeah, so it looks like we'll be expecting runway 8 using the Tulsi 3 Alpha arrival. So back over to the airport page. Arrivals. There we go, Tulsi 3 Alpha. We can change this back to day mode now. So there's Tulsi. That's the last waypoint that we've got on the very end of the screen there, which is going to be the first waypoint on the arrival. We need to be at or above 9,500 feet at that point. That's it. And that's going to lead us to this point here, Rattenberg, which is an NDB beacon, or ADF, depending which way you want to say it. And then with respect to the approach, I wonder if we can do... Oh, no, it's not going to be 8. Oh, no, it was 8, wasn't it? It was 8. Well, that one's not suitable. What about this one? Yeah, let's do this one. See, these are all mountains and this is the valley here. It's a fun approach to do, which is why I elected to do it for my first flight. LMEM. Alright, let's set that up. So depart, arrive. We'll put this into plan mode so we can have a little idea on what's going on. I do prefer the Airbus McDo, they call this thing in the Airbus, right? The McDo. It's just a little bit more user-friendly when it comes to this thing, but Boeing very usable, I find. Alright, Lowy arrival. And what were we calling this one? The RNP Zulu 08, which is going to be this one. Transition through the LMEM. Stars was the Tulsat 3 Alpha. Okay. Actually, I don't think that arrival makes sense for that approach. I'll tell you what, we'll put it in anyway and we'll just clean it up ourselves. So we get to Tulsi here. And then we're supposed to go to RTT, but I think it makes more sense to just cut straight across to this point here, LMEM, rather than doing this ridiculous shape. So let's get rid of RTT. Okay. Let's push the range out a little bit. There, that makes more sense. So we'll curve down here. In fact, I might even cut a bit more of this out. Let's push range out a bit more. We've got Lelta here. I think it makes sense to cut straight across from Lelta to Elmham. So we'll grab Elmham. We'll come up to Lelta and the very next point. So that's what it's going to do. It's going to cut off that. And I'm going to accept that. That's more like it. Then we get to Elmham. We start this approach down through the corridor. All right. Now, I hope the thing don't crash, but I do want to, and by crash, I mean the computer crashing. I'm going to, look at that cloud, man. I'm going to start twizzling around with the time a little bit. And I seem... time... Let's see first of all if the cockpit lighting's fit. Wow, look at that. Thick clouds. Let's have a look actually. Let's look at, do you know it's this? It's like in the later half of sunset. The cockpit lighting goes a bit funny. Let's wind time on a bit and see if that sorts. Oh yeah, look at that. You go back to night time, it sorts itself out. Again, early access. I expect that's going to be the next thing to iron out because that is basically unusable. That's great. Look at the shadows as well. I know this is a thing that we've been... Well, it's been, to be fair, it's been in every game and it for a while, but I still think they look really good, especially when you see it, you're going around a corner or you're playing around with the time like that. This is early sunrise. Let's treat ourselves to a sunrise, actually. Now, I'll tell you what, if it's not raining when we get there, I'm going to turn the rain on because rain, when you see any screenshots with this new release that, you know, they've started teasing it months ago, the water looks absolutely incredible. And you know what? Can I do it from this point? Weather. Look at that water contamination on the runway. Atmospheric conditions. We got visibility, precipitation, the airport temperature, the altimeter setting. Just for people that don't know, aren't seen this, I mean, it's new to me. Certainly the interface is different than what it used to be. We've got the different types of clouds that we want, different layers, whether we want a few or a lot. The tops, the bottoms. You see, this is something I hope they sort of... You know, there's all this stuff they've been on about in DCS to do with the weather for a while, and other than a few screenshots, we don't really know anything about it. But to be able to fine-tune the weather a bit, rather than just having a static sort of 3D volumetric box in the sky, good as it looks, it would be nice to be able to change it a bit, blow in the wind, whatever. Or to interact with hills. You know, if you've got wind blowing up against a mountain, it's going to change the clouds above it. So we got the wind settings here. Direction, turbulence. We've got gusts, wind shear settings. We've got multiple layers of the same thing. So you could have different winds at different heights. A whole bunch of layers, actually. There's more than there used to be. 8, 10, 10 wind layers. I think there used to be like 3 or 4. Yeah, then we got runway wetness and contaminate. Yeah, look at all these settings for the runway. It used to just be wet or damp or dry. We've got wet, standing water, snowy, icy, and snow and ice. And each one has got light, medium, and max. We'll give ourselves a nice wet runway, I think, for landing. And then you've got wave height and direction. Be another cool thing if they added in DCS, where you could set how big you want the waves to be and in what direction you want the waves to travel. We've got so many water maps. And one of my complaints about DCS is the waves are too small, and the only way to get decent looking waves is to have a wind that's doing about 60 knots, which is just unrealistic when you're out in the sea. We've got thermals here as well. Do you know what? Let's try this on the side, on the fly then, and look at that. We're already coming up to this waypoint where we change things around. There's top of descent, that T/D. See you, Bob. Take care, and congratulations, by the way, on your diploma. I know you're putting a lot of time and effort on that. Take care, Bob. All right, so let's try here. Anybody in chat, what would you like to see on the runway wetness here? Give us a clue. First one who gets it in, I will take it. If nobody says anything, I'll pick one. I'm not sure exactly what the delay on the stream is. This only about, I don't know. All right, well, unless nobody says anything afterwards, I'm going to go with maximum standing water. Not snowy, standing water max. And in terms of wind, why, there's so many wind layers, man. Is one low down? Yeah, one is low down. So let's add a bit of turbulence. That's always fun. With a bit of gust and wind shear, will change. And what else can we do? Clouds. Cumulonimbus. Change. Oh, you've got a quick set option here. All right, let's go for this then. What have we got? Oh, convective. Change. Holy...
1,000 to go.
What did I just do? I just want to make sure that the runway is still... No, we want to be standing water max. Change. Okay. Oh, did that kick out everything else? Oh, it's a bit one thing or the other then, isn't it? All right.
To go.
All right, there we are. Let's leave that one there. Let's change the time. Oh yeah, let's change the time so we can see actually what's going on a little bit. Yeah, this is proper volumetric stuff. This is looking a lot like a DCS cloud. Although there's more little bits and bobs to it than in DCS somehow. Oh, and look at this weather radar. By the way, if we fly into that, I think that's insta-death. We're going to have to avoid... There's lightning there. Signs coming on. Engines continuous. We may lose them. Let's get the anti-ice on just in case. Yeah, we don't want to be flying into that. Let's increase the bank angle. I'm missing the rain sounds. To me, that looks like there's a lot of rain. I'm not hearing it. I wonder if that's because this is a custom mod, the Z-boat. Yeah, look at that. That was a bit messy, wasn't it, coming out of those clouds? Whatever that is, looks like a mess. Look at the cloud. Like, it looks like it's been created in real time. Look at that. That is mad. Yeah. I did read stuff about dancing clouds as one of the issues that need ironing out, and I think that is what they mean by dancing clouds. Malidox, a comparison video. It is something that I've often thought about doing, you know, even with xPlane 11. The one thing that put me off was people are very tribal about their flight sim. A lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people, and I just didn't want the video just to become an arguing fest in the comments section. I'll have to think very carefully about how I'm doing it, because I would love to do such a video, and there's so much to explore with the differences, and there are a lot of differences, and each one has got its strengths and weaknesses. It would be a great video. The thing is, you get a lot of, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody, but you get a lot of young kids of the 13 to 16 age range especially that think they know it all. They think they know it all, and if you say something that isn't necessarily best about their sim that is their favorite sim, they go off on one. And I don't want that to be what the video's about. This radar picture, by the way, is a mess. There we go. I can barely see my flight plan. We'll go through some of the weather, but if we go through red weather, certainly in my experience prior, it was insta-death. So we got custom weather on. We're at top of descent now. I'm just navigating myself around the weather. Let's have a look. So the next legs, we'll reset that so we got a more precise. I remember one time flying in DCS, and I'm going back a little ways, and I don't know who he was, but he was saying, what is wrong with this game? You know, he was in chat, what is wrong with this game? And people like, what you're on about? And he says, well, when the plane stalls, it steers to one side. I'm not asking it to steer to one side. What is wrong with it? And it's like, well, look, when a plane stalls, usually one wing gives up before the other. And he wouldn't have it. I didn't ask it to steer. It's steering. There's something wrong with the game. And there's more of that when you then start comparing different sims, because if my sim doesn't do it, then it's wrong. You know, if my favorite sim doesn't do this thing, then that's because it's wrong and it's a fault. And I'm trying to avoid that. All right, so we're at top of descent here. We need to be at 13,000 feet or above by Elmham. So let's pre-select that. We'll give ourselves a level change to get there. The only reason I'm not going LNAV, VNAV is because of all this weather. I tell you what, the lightning looks crap, by the way, and this rain, I don't know what's wrong with it, because I thought the rain looked really good, but maybe we have to be going slower on the ground to see it, I don't know. But if we ignore the rain a minute, they're coming in and out of clouds. No, this ain't right, man. This, unless it's literally to do with this mod. Because the videos I saw, granted, just with the default aircraft, the water would sort of wrap its way around the windscreens. And I do got everything turned up. But the way that you come in and out of clouds, I really like that. The sense of speed is bang on as well. Flying into a wall of a bank of clouds from the cockpit doing 400 or 500 knots in airspeed is just something else. And it's something that so few people are going to get to experience now unless you're actually a pilot. And it would be really good to get that experience into a sim. It's like you're flying in clear air and you see this, what looks like a wall of cotton wool, and you're hurtling towards it hundreds of miles an hour, and it's a weird feeling the first time you see it. It's weird. You know it's a cloud, you know it, but it looks like a wall. Alright, so here we are coming into Innsbruck. Let's set up our thing. So based on our weights, we go flaps 15, it's 158, which is far too fast. We can go flaps 30, which is 145, or 40, which is 138. It's quite a short runway, and we've got it standing water. So 138 it is, and we'll add on the 5 knot wind correction. So approach will be 1 of 43. And let's come back to the legs to find... Yeah, we need to be slow because there's a really steep descent through this valley. If we have a look here, yeah, this is it. So we're currently flying towards this waypoint here, Elman. At 13,000 feet, you can see we've got a 3.6 degree down, which means the plane will run away with itself if we don't get flaps or air brakes out. And that's going to take us from 13,000 feet per the prescribed route down here to the missed approach point. And then the runway is at 1,907 feet. So we'll pre-select that here. 1,900. That's to get the cabin pressure synced up with the outside. We'll go ahead. We'll get the fixed lights. The turn-offs on. The logo light on. The wing light. And this point here is our deceleration point. So we're going down to 13,000 first. Then we got to slow down. Apparently to about 170. We've got a caution there to say we've got the anti-ice on above 10. Which is just as well because I forgot about that. So we'll turn that off. And we'll turn the engine start switches off. Let's have a little look again just to appreciate what's actually going on here. See the Alps in South Germany crossing over into... Is it Switzerland? Oh God, I should know. No, it's not Switzerland, is it? Come on, somebody help me. Where are we going? We're going into the Alps. Austria. Alright. Because this is a precise thing to fly. If it's going to take us through a red thunderstorm, I might have to ease the weather off. Yeah, so you can see the speed here. We've got a speed restriction there, max 175. That dips to 165. And there's no way we can slow to 175 downhill unless we're already slow before we start. Going to go ahead, retune that and come on with my LNAV. Let's put VNAV on as well. So that's going to take care of speed, heading, height. Basically, as autopilot gets. This is why you can have planes where the oxygen messes up and they fly for 5 hours on course and then they just hold over the target airport. Alright, so we're going to dial on down. We'll pre-select that down. I don't know, let's go 8,000 for now. Don't really matter. The autopilot's going to follow whatever restrictions are in here anyway. It just won't descend lower than what we've put here. Right, so we're decelerating. There's the marker for flaps. So let's go ahead and put flaps 1. And let's let people know that we're about to start descending.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again from the flight deck here, we're on our descent. Seatbelt sounds going to be back off for our rattle. If you're up and about, please do return your seats, fasten your seatbelts. Still showing well ahead of schedule. Thanks again. Hope you have a nice week. Have you on here very shortly.
Very nice. That wing looks very shiny. It looks like it's wet. We'll drag this back so we got a better idea on the weather there. Alright, flaps 2. So we got to remain above 13,000 feet for this point here. Whiskey India 749, which is this one here. You see 13,000 feet, and then we start descending after that. Hey, look at this, skirting along the side of this big cloud here. Hey, the rain is finally streaking on the... It must have been we were going too fast. Look at that. Let's... Oh, I'm all excited now. We're going to put the wipers on when we slow down a bit more. Let's go ahead, flaps 5. I'm like a little kid. Oh, look at the rain on the passenger. That's insane. All right, we're descending. All right, let's go flaps 10. You see it's struggling. We're already accelerating as we're going downhill here. Go auto brake 3. And what was runway heading once we get down there? It's been ages since I've done an RNAV approach, so you're going to have to forgive any mistakes. We might get some interesting corrections down near the end. 077. There we go. Altimeters. I've forgotten what the pressure was. Can we find out by just clicking on the airport? You used to be able to. Details. Yeah, you can. QNH 1016. 10, 14, 15, 16. There we go. All right. Look at that, man. Let's keep winding this down. What actually was the minimums? I've been too busy babbling to actually get any of this done. 2,900 is the decision height, so we'll pop that down here. So if we don't see the runway at that point, we've got to go round, and that's a radio altimeter height of 993. So we'll set that in here. Minimums on the radio. $999, $993. Okay. Right, gear down, flat 15. just put a dot down so I've got a bit of SA when it comes to where the runway is there. Right, legs your side, performance my side. Look at that, we've actually lost a little bit of weight on the fuel there. And we're now 137. Alright, flaps 25. Let's assume now we're being cleared to land. Put all the forward lights on, taxi light on. And if engine's not already or on continuous relight, let's arm the speed brakes. Speed brakes around, auto brake 3. I'm not going maximum because it's going to be slippy anyway. But flaps 25, 40 to go. And we're on profile. Sounds like there's a bit of a shift there in wind. Passenger, let's prepare landing.
Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for landing.
Can you imagine if you were tripping, you'd be convinced that thing were talking to you. You'd think, hang on, every time I think, I'm sure it's saying hello to me. That, you see it waving at me. Alright, flaps 25 to 30, enough with that. We're going to go ahead and just shut off the... where are we now? Shut off the chat things there so we can see this a little more clearly. Flaps 30, 40 to go. Tell you what, man, the way like the silver lining, the silver lining. Yeah. I love that water effect. Now we can see it. Let's see how that works with the wipers then. Not really. They don't really play with each other, do they? Oh well, we'll have it on anyway. We'll pretend. No visual yet on the runway. And yeah, terrain definitely not working yet. Terrain has been on your side the whole time. We're not seeing it at all. But we do got a nice picture on the weather, so it's halfway there. All right, let's go flaps full. Let's reduce the scale here. So we're cutting across here and then it's left. So the runway is about 7 miles away. As of yet, I'm not seeing it. Could be hidden by this bank of cloud, which makes it interesting. We're on speed. We're all sorted for landing. There is a little checklist here, but you know what? I never follow it. I just go off what feels right. It's a lot easier in the Airbus because it tells you what to do in blue, and if you haven't done it, it tells you it in orange, and if it's in real bad, it tells you it in red. So it's like you could fly an Airbus without knowing the first thing because it tells you everything to do and checks off as you do it.
2500.
You always hear a bit of banter between the Airbus and the Boeing. If you ever listen to some of those ATC things when something goes down, sometimes people record it and upload it to YouTube. Alright, radio altimeter is alive down here. Let's stop that, it's a little distracting. Whoa, bit of a wind shear there. And we're going to go through a bit of weather here on final. We're already at the min... Oh, no, we're not quite the min height yet. Let's put the approach in. Again, it's no ILS, it's an RNAV. But we're not going to see anything until last minute. Whoa, what's it doing to me?
1,000 minimums.
Look at the angle of attack indicator there. That is turbulence.
Tank rate.
1,000.
I trust you.
Tank rate.
Oh, we're getting rapidly close to the ground.
Tank rate.
I'm going to take over. That's getting a bit too close to the ground for my liking. Right, I know I'm blind, but I'm just putting it onto the crosshairs. And I should be dialing in the missed approach altitude at this point, but I ain't got time. I'm just going to guess it's about 12. We'll refine that if we need it. We're 2 miles away from the runway and I don't see anything. And it's not a precision approach either. Look at that sunlight.
500.
Tank rate.
Whoa.
Tank rate.
400.
Disconnecting the auto throttle. I've got it. Whoa, there's these... I love this gust of winds that randomly come in. It really feels like it's alive. Whoa!
Tank rate.
All of a sudden the bottom dropped out there.
50. 40. 30.
Come on. Look at the puddles on the runway, man.
10. 5.
We're down. Oh my goodness, look at that. All right, anybody's guess how close? Look at the effect on that water. I mean, I knew it looked good, but that's absolutely insane. Right, let's get a little replay on that, because that was not the easiest approach I'd ever done. We'll just hide the camera. My girlfriend always has a joke at me on this. She says, "Oh, now we got to watch the replay from 15 different angles and get a hard on." That's what she says, honestly. I'm like, here, look at this, look at this. All right, so here we go with a runway view. Yeah, I love the way the bottom just dropped there. Right there, the bottom dropped out. We saved it. Kicking it straight. Do you know what? I'd take that. With the weather doing what it were doing. Granted, we were sliding all over because I was messing around with the camera, but... I didn't realise we were quite sliding as much as we were. I tell you what, that wet runway really adds to, you know, it's like well slippy on a wet runway. DCS, I'm not sure they actually factor in for a wet or dry. And Microsoft Flight Sim, I'm not sure either, but the difference there is colossal. I mean, you saw the way that thing was slipping and sliding down that. It was a stone's throw from ice. Again, it was maximum standing water there. Well, all of a sudden, the weather system moves along. I wonder if that's going to affect how the replay plays. Well, we're going to find out. Let's get the same thing from a passenger's point of view. Tell you what, you can't really see much with that blurry, I say blurry, but you know what I mean, the rain on the window. It clears up. It didn't seem too bad at all. You don't get any of the drama out the passenger view, do you? It looked pretty peaceful. And you don't get the sense of it sliding around. All right, you do a little bit there. Yeah, all right, you do a little bit. Look at the detail again at Innsbruck, the airport. All right, one last one, I promise. And it's going to be the runway overflight, and then that's going to be it for me. No. Where are we? This is the one that I want. And then that's going to be the end of the stream, guys. So yeah, be expecting a big-ish DCS video to drop in the next day or two. It's going to be an interesting one. It's a scientific one. We're going to be measuring something. Wow, that looked really good, man. I'm almost tempted to play it in slow motion going over the top. There you see me kick it straight just before it lands. It's actually disappeared over a little bump in the road. This is another thing. Runways not being completely flat. They're not completely flat. Look, they're tiny little hills. But the way that that's slipping and sliding. Big time. Yeah. That was fun. All right, flights. Let's exit the replay mode. Turn sound back on. Let's finish this properly. So we'll boot up the APU. Engine start switch is off. Landing lights off. I was expecting this to be a taxiway, but it's not. It's a turnaround point. I tell you what, man, it's not perfect by any stretch, but it's a vast improvement. The way they've got the light and the dark is in my opinion, together with the puddles in the ground, probably the two most noticeable best things. The clouds, you know, good effort, right? But you can see there's still a little bit ways to go. APU's on bus. And a couple of other little things. Probe heat and window heat off. Let's get the APU on bleed to get the engines off the bleed. We'll open the isolation valve 2. Flight directors off. Weather radar off. Transponder out on. I mean, just look at the detail on the airports, man. And I'm sure not everyone in the world is at this detail, because look at that, Flughafen Innsbruck. I mean, it I don't know exactly how many airports, but it's something like 30,000, 40,000 airports that they've got on. So here we are on the charts in Innsbruck. There, look, you can see the little turnaround. So we're on Bravo, coming in onto Bravo 1 here. Turn the strobe lights off. There's a Ryanair 7-3, look. I hope they've got space for us. Oh yeah, we should have stopped the clock as well about 3 minutes ago. 49 minutes, we'll knock a couple of minutes, so it's about 47 minutes. How much fuel did we have left, by the way? About 6.2, 6.3. So we did use a bit more than we thought, but we were dodging weather and we had the icing on for a bit. We've got something from Air China here. Gotta love that water effect, man. Yeah, the scenery in the distance is looking dated. And we do indeed got a spot here. And for those interested, I will just confirm the exact graphics settings that I've got for the sim, but it's all pretty much on maximum. There was one that I had to restart the sim for, so I won't going to bother with that, but the frame rate you can see here is about 32, 33 with all the graphics and the clouds and everything, which is very playable on this kind of sim. I wouldn't want it any less. Ideally, I like it 40 or more. You know, for this sort of a thing, it's fine. All right, so there we are, full stop. We've pulled the parking brakes on. Let's shut the engines down. We've already put the APU on bus, so we're going to keep power. Clear out the MC. Turn the TCAS off. Engine sound as they grind down. Quite like that. Right, fuel pumps all off except the one providing power for the APU. Get rid of the signs, anti-collision and wing light off, as well as the taxi light. Should have already had those off, really. Get the unhappy face on at the hydraulic pumps. I'm happy with the rest of it. Alright, ground services. We'll open the front door, we'll open the cargo, even though we don't got the cargo mods there yet, but it don't matter. We'll set the chocks, we'll put the air stairs out, and that'll do. We'll brighten us up again. And we'll terminus the flight. You can hear the APU in back, together with a little bit of heat blur off it. And there we are, the end of the flight here. And these are legit air stairs. These live inside the plane. They're not put there by the airport. Hence air stairs, right? And this, I love this as well. Look, the wind is blowing these around. That's not, you know, left over. They'll blow forever as long as the wind's blowing them. Nice little touch. And yeah, as promised, a little look at the graphics settings. So if we come over to graphics, textures on max, we've got ambient occlusion quality SSAO. So that was on high. It could have gone to ultra. We've got the rendering resolution here. And so you can basically downscale your resolution. It says it here, so you can have your resolution. Say if you've got a 4K monitor like this, you could have it on 4K, but then render it at, say, 1080p or whatever, and it would upscale it. And if you have it off, that's full resolution. I play it on 2K, which is, you know, your 2560 by 1440. I find that's a good balance between quality and streaming. Anti-aliasing. This was the thing where you had to reset the sim. Ansioscopic filtering was on 16. Cloud quality max, shadow quality max, rendering distance I had on high. I find that the difference between these two is quite a chunk on the frame rate, and everything else is also on max there. And so I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Do a little preview of what's to come, and it was yeah, it was realistic. As I saw it is as you saw it. I've not done any flight in this before. I hope you enjoyed that. So until next time, guys, wherever in the world you may be, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Bang. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Great to be back.